wanted to talk about the incident that happened at the Cincinnati Zoo where the gorilla was shot when a child fell into the gorilla enclosure. Now, there's a debate, should the gorilla have been shot or should they have tried to use other means? Now, I don't think they should have shot the gorilla, and I don't hear people talking about this. Most of the people that are saying that they shouldn't have shot the gorilla are saying that the gorilla was caring for the child and they could have used a tranquilizer dart. And then the people are saying that we couldn't do that because it would agitate the gorilla. It takes time for the tranquilizer to take effect, and the gorilla could react dangerously and put the child at risk. But my question is, what about shooting the gorilla? What if they miss? What if they hit the child? Or what if they hit the gorilla and they injure the gorilla? You know what they say about a wounded animal, right? So, what about that? Why don't they talk about that? Using a gun is not guaranteed that you're going to have the outcome that you're trying to achieve. Now keep in mind, here's something else that people are not talking about. This has happened before, where a child fell into a gorilla enclosure where there was more than one gorilla, okay? It wasn't just one gorilla, there was more. And in one instance, it was a great big silverback. I mean, a really big gorilla, very powerful, and it's just incredible. I mean, he was showing compassion for the child. The child was injured, he was unconscious, and he was caressing the child. It's just amazing how an animal so big is so gentle. And the gorilla was just scared off. I mean, just ran away, and they were able to jump into the enclosure and rescue the child. And then there was another instance where a female gorilla picked up the child and tried to rescue it. I mean, these are not ordinary animals. They're very human-like. They share much of our DNA. They're very intelligent. They have maternal, paternal feelings that are very well observed. There's other things that could have been done. What about tasers? What about pepper spray? I mean, they say to carry pepper spray with you, even if you may face off with a grizzly bear. They said I could save your life. Well, let me tell you something. A grizzly bear is a lot more dangerous than a gorilla. I can tell you that much. So if pepper spray may have an effect on a grizzly bear, it may have an even greater effect on the gorilla. In this case, of course, it's kind of sad. I think why the magnitude of the backlash is so great is because the gorilla showed compassion for the child. I mean, at one point it looked like he was trying to pick up the child's pants. And they're so upset that there's calls for charges to be filed against this mother. And let me tell you something. They're saying that there was nothing that could be done. The child got away. She couldn't do anything about it. Well, let me tell you something. This mother looks like she's anywhere from 400 to 650 pounds. So if they file charges against her, her best defense can be, I'm too freaking fat and dumb, and I couldn't catch the kid because he's too fast for me. That would be a great defense, and she would win the case. So what's the point, right? There were measures that could have been taken where they did not have to shoot this gorilla. I mean, just think about it. Its entire life, it was locked up. It was raised in captivity, just to make money, for people to look at them, right, and use them as a display. And now, when they no longer need them anymore, they terminate them. And you know what? When he dragged the child through the water, it was because people were screaming. He was getting agitated, he was getting scared, he didn't know what to do. Maybe he was trying to drag the child to safety, thought somebody was trying to attack him or something. He couldn't. I mean, what is he supposed to do in that situation? Maybe he panicked. I mean, he doesn't see that all the time. He sees a small child, just laying in the water. He didn't know how to react. I mean, who knows what was going through his mind? He picked up the child's pants, he was caressing him, he was holding him, then he dragged him to the water. If this gorilla wanted to harm that child, he would have harmed it a long time ago. So the point being is, of course, with the benefit of hindsight, you could say, okay, that the desired outcome was achieved, that they shot the gorilla and the child wasn't harmed. But what if this happens again? And what if they use a gun again and the desired outcome is not achieved? So that's a very important thing to look at. Now people are questioning zoos in general. Should we even have zoos? When you have situations like this, especially animals like this, should they even be in captivity? I mean, obviously it's a terrible thing to see I've been to Africa. I see the way animals live in the wild versus the way they live in zoos. In the wild, they're happy, they're free, they're living a real life. These are animals, they're living things, they're creatures, they're like people, they have feelings, they want to be free. If animals can talk, they would tell you that. Okay? And you look at animals in zoos versus in the wild, they look depressed, they look out of shape. They're not living, they're just existing. They're just on display. And let me tell you something, I don't believe in pets. Whether it's gorillas, dogs, cats, all animals should live in the wild. I'm not talking about animals for food sources. I'm talking about animals that are being kept either in zoos or as companions. You want a companion? Get yourself another human. Should there be zoos? You know what? Maybe there shouldn't be. And they say, oh, it's for educational purposes. You want animals for educational purposes? Turn on Nat Geo. Or take a trip to Africa. See animals and really be educated. See them living in the wild. That's education. But if you want to see other instances where they did not use guns, I put a couple of links in the video description. Take a look at them. In all the cases, the child was rescued and everything was fine and the gorillas weren't killed. Now, of course, they're going to say, oh, the gorilla dragged the child through the water. Well, in the other cases, there was more than one gorilla. The child not only fell, but he was unconscious and he was surrounded by 4 gorillas. And they didn't use any guns. I don't think they made the right decision. There's something else I wanted to add. This is very important. Gorillas are a paradox in many ways because they're so massive and powerful. They're extremely powerful. They have the strength of 10 men. And there is not one documented account for an animal this big and strong, not one documented account of a gorilla killing a human being, or I even think harming a human being. Not one documented account. And it's interesting because they're only one of the 4 great apes, and chimpanzees, there have been documented accounts of chimpanzees critically harming humans. Chimpanzees are very aggressive. Gorillas aren't as aggressive. And they're by far the biggest, strongest, most powerful of all the great apes. And basically, for the most part, they live on plants and insects. So it's just very, very sad. I think they're very misunderstood. I think the blame goes to Hollywood. You know, like King Kong and video games, that industry. They have a game called Donkey Kong. They make gorillas look fierce and dangerous. That's not the way they are. They're very misunderstood. And they're under attack. It's disease, habitat loss. So what happened here was very unfortunate. I'd like to know what you think. Please leave your comments. Please subscribe. Please like this video. And thank you for tuning in.